Dallas police officer James Chaney was a motorcycle officer in the presidential motorcade on the day that JFK was assassinated. And this circled in red apparently is he, just as the president had been shot in the throat. And the authorities did not interview Chaney until the 1970s, but on the day of the assassination, ABC's Bill Lord did interview him, and Chaney tells his story of what happened.
Reports ABC's Bill Lord interviewed some people. First, a Dallas policeman, an eyewitness to the shooting.
Jim Chaney, I understand that you were riding next to the president's car when the assassination took place. I was riding on the right rear fender. What happened? Well, we had proceeded west on Elm Street at approximately 15 to 20 miles an hour. When we heard the first shot, I thought it was a motorcycle backfiring. And I looked back over to my left, and also President Kennedy looked back over his left shoulder. Then when the second shot came, I looked back just in time to see the president struck in the face by the second bullet. He swung forward into Miss Kennedy's lap, and when it was apparent to me that we were being fired upon, I went ahead of the president's car to inform Chief Curry that the president had been hit, and then he instructed us over there to take him to Parkland Hospital, and he had Parkland Hospital stand by. I went on up ahead of notify the officers that were leading the escort that he had been hit and was going to have to move out.
You did not see the person who fired the shot?
No, sir. It was back over my right shoulder.
What preventive measures had been taken to preclude such an incident?
I don't know what had done that part of town.
All right, fine. Thank you.
Let's go.
This patrolman was so close to the president that following the three shots, his uniform was spattered with blood.
And for the purposes of this video, we're going to note especially what James Chaney said he did. That is, that when he realized they were being fired upon, he went ahead of the president's car to Chief Curry's car and informed Chief Curry that the president had been hit.
And when it was apparent to me that we were being fired upon, I went ahead of the president's car to inform Chief Curry that the president had been hit.
And in the foreground here is the president's car. That is the car with Clint Hill's butt facing us, and the Jackie is in. And the car circled in blue up ahead is Chief Curry's car. So Chaney says that he went from the president's car, ahead of that car, up to Chief Curry's car. And Chief Curry told the Warren Commission, I heard a sharp report. We were near the railroad yards at this time, and I didn't know exactly where this report came from, whether it was above us or where, but this was followed by two more reports, and at that time I looked in my rear view mirror and I saw some commotion in the president's caravan and realized that probably something was wrong, and it seemed to be speeding up. And about this time, a motorcycle officer, I believe it was Officer Chaney, rode up beside us, and I asked if something had happened back there. He said yes, and I said, has somebody been shot? And he said, I think so. So clearly, Curry corroborates what Chaney said, and that is that Chaney, while the presidential limo was behind Chief Curry's car, had come up from the president's car to Chief Curry's car, and the presidential limo is still behind Chief Curry's car. And statements by Forrest Sorrells, Winston Lawson, and Bobby Hargis, and even D.L. Jackson all confirm this sequence of events. And this is from the Bell film. I've circled Curry's car and JFK's limousine as they're both approaching the underpass. Actually, Curry is already under the underpass. And the Bell film shows that the president's car passes Chief Curry's car under the underpass. It doesn't pass before the underpass, it passes under the underpass. So if, as everybody says, Chaney passed the president's car and went ahead to Chief Curry's car, he had to have done that before the president's car got to the underpass.
Went ahead of the president's car to inform Chief Curry that the president had been hit.
But the photography shows almost definitively that Chaney did not pass the limousine, that he did not do what everybody said he did. And I think that means the photography has been altered. This is one of the strongest cases for alteration of the photography. Chaney passed the limo before the limo got to the underpass, and this was hidden by altering the photography. And I'll start with a Mormon photo, or what we call the Mormon photo. This is the press release of the Mormon photo from November 23rd, 1963. And here I want you to note that dark lines have been added to the motorcycle windshields. This was a common practice, probably still is, I don't know, but certainly was back then, that photo editors for newspapers would add lines, darken things, and clean up photographs. But here what they're doing is adding a line to give definition to the motorcycle's windshield. And this would need to be done because in print some things wouldn't show up too well unless you highlighted them like that. But the original photo does not have those lines. In fact, the photo sent out on the wire did not have those lines. These lines are added by whatever newspaper or whatever publication got this photo off the wire. They got the photo off the wire without those lines, and then they added those lines. And this is the Zippo photo, named for the Zippo lighter, apparently, next to it. This is the photo as it appeared while it was in the possession of Mary Ann Mormon. I don't know who took it. And, as I said, the original photo here does not, I shouldn't call this the original photo, but the photo in Mary Ann Mormon's possession did not have those dark lines added. But very curiously, the windshield doesn't end the way it's supposed to. It ends as a straight line across, horizontal in the windshield, and that's not the way the windshields are on motorcycles. So this newspaper edit doesn't just give definition to the edge of the windshield. It gives edges to the windshield where there were no edges in the original photo they were working with. And look at the red arrow there. Look where the line is, where the top of the windshield ends in the original photo. That line is the same line as the far edge of the limousine. So coincidentally, the motorcycle's windshield disappears at the same line as the edge of the limousine. And why would it do that? Bobby Hargis' windshield wasn't like that on the day of the assassination. He had a full windshield. Well, the only reason I can think of that would happen is because somebody removed something from the other side of the car that was in the same space that his windshield was in. That is, you could see whatever it was that was removed through his windshield. And the editor of this photo simply removed the windshield with the object beyond it and didn't bother replacing it. And I think James Chaney was removed from this photograph because he was further up on the car, probably already starting to accelerate. And here I've illustrated that by pasting in some motorcycle officer. I don't know who it is. And here I've got the Zippo version on the left and my altered Chaney added version on the right to make a comparison. And circled in blue here, I'm pointing out what I said before, that the top of the windshield was cut off at the level of the far end of the car, and the reason is because that's where Chaney would be, where he would have to be removed from the photo. And you can't just take him out without taking the windshield out. It makes for a difficult edit, though I think they should have done a better job than this. And in green there, we've got this very strange shoulder on JFK. I think that might be actually a piece of the motorcycle, maybe the handlebars or something. The version I put in here isn't oriented exactly the way Chaney would have been, so it may be that his handlebars were above JFK's shoulder right there, and that's why JFK's shoulder looks funny. And also in red, I've circled a part that I think might actually be the top of Chaney's antenna in the Zippo version, and that's why I put the antenna there, because I think that maybe the editor missed that, the part of the antenna in front of the bushes, and I'm not certain about that, but I'm pretty darn sure that Chaney was on the other side of the car there, and that he was removed from the Mormon photo. And if Chaney was removed there, then that would imply that it's D.L. Jackson that we can see in the Mormon photo behind him. I was not able to determine, from examination of the photography itself, whether or not that motorcyclist looks more like Chaney or Jackson. And I'm suspicious that it's neither one of them, because Jackson seems to disappear from the photography too, and maybe this guy was just pasted in. But I don't know about that. So I say Chaney was removed from the Mormon photo. And the point of removing him from the Mormon photo would be to show that Chaney was not that far up on the car at this point. Because if he was that far up on the car at this point, then you would be able to see him in the Zapruder film. But you can't. And then there's the Alkan 7 photo. If Chaney had done what everyone said he did, he should be visible in the Alkan 7 photo, though it's possible that he would be hidden by the people and objects in the foreground. And I see two possibilities for alteration in this photograph regarding the hiding of Chaney. The first possibility is illustrated in the Daily Telegraph of, I think it's November 23rd. I don't know if they would have a different source for an Alkan's photo or not, whether they might get one earlier or not, but there's something here in this photo that I don't see in any of the other versions of the Alkan 7. And that is what I have circled in red here, behind Jackie's head. It looks like it might be a motorcycle policeman's helmet. And if you compare the Telegraph version to the way this part of the photograph looked in other publications, there certainly looks to be a difference here. And I think it might be Chaney's helmet that we can see poking out from behind Jackie. Though, of course, it could be argued that that is simply part of Jackie's hair, which for some reason isn't white in the other versions of the photo. And another possibility for alteration in this photograph is this strange shadow that joins into the shadow cast by the overpass. To me, it does not look like this shadow is cast by the structure, because I don't see why that shadow would be darker when it joins the other shadow under the underpass. And I think you will see a version of this shadow in every publication of the photo. This one comes from some newspaper, I forget which now. But clearly, it seems to me that a shadow has been added. I don't think a shadow would be darker under the overpass there, the way this shadow is. I think this was added to hide Chaney. And that shadow is also in this press photo version. So this wasn't something added by the newspapers. This is something that went out on the AP wire. Now it seems